Welcome into Crossing the Aisle on this Good Friday. I am Lindsay.
And I am Shaun. How's everybody doing on this Good Friday? If you're even at work, I'm sorry, that sucks. It seems like everybody I know is not working today, and to be honest, that includes myself. I didn't go into my office. I can't fire myself, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I took the
Yeah.
day off. It's been a busy week, and that's why I wasn't here Wednesday. But I've had a busy week work wise, and we've had a busy week news wise. So it's just
Yes,
been kind of hit from all angles. So it's gonna be nice to take a little break for the weekend.
we ruffled a few feathers yesterday, I
Yeah,
think, Shaun.
I think the Attorney General's office probably doesn't like us right now. Just being
Probably
honest.
not.
Just being
Probably
honest
not.
about that. And we're gonna get into that. We found some more stuff about our victim. I don't know what to call him, Jaylen Lewis, the suspect. I'll call him in the Michael Rhinewalt and Stephen Fredrick manslaughter
the
indictment.
model citizen.
Yeah, we found some more information that we want to discuss with y'all about his criminal history, which seems to be, sort of extensive. I don't know the lengths of it, but I do. I was able to discover a photograph from March of 2021 of him with. There's a huge table of cash, $265,125 to be exact, and
It's a lot of money.
I don't think he earned this on a paper route, Lindsay.
I doubt it. I very seriously doubt it.
And there was guns and dope and everything. And
lots of drugs.
And this is a photograph from Lee Vance, who was the Hinds County Sheriff in 2021. Now, if y'all remember, Jaylen Lewis was involved in the altercation with Capitol Police, I believe, in September of 2022. So this is March 24th of 2021, which is about a year and a half earlier. So he was busted with a bunch of dope, a bunch of guns, and a lot of cash.
But he's the one that, the NBC News called. They said, "What about him? The father of a young son, made him out to be this like doting
young father,
caring young father." Yeah,
young
something
father
like that.
What Lindsay's referring to is that NBC News had an article out describing this incident where that it said something to the effect of young father killed by Mississippi officers, which of course, the implication was there were some racist officers out there shooting young fathers down. What they didn't talk about, what was actually in the car, which was an AK-47 rifle and 2 pistols and 3 pounds of dope. They didn't talk about that, or they didn't talk about this arrest that he had where there's literally $265,000.
Or the fact that he had already backed into one Capitol Police car and had pulled his gun out. Basically, they saw him, holding his gun.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I failed to mention, all of that.
Yeah, they failed to mention all that kind of stuff. They failed to mention this previous arrest from a year and a half earlier. And look, ladies and gentlemen, like you got $265,000. Maybe if you're a rich person, maybe our friend Gerard out there's got that on the table. I don't know. Maybe he's got it. I've never seen $265,000.
Maybe Tommy Duff.
Yeah, Tommy Duff, people like that. But I don't know what business ventures. I don't think he had some super, successful startup or anything like that.
He didn't start his own tech company.
No, sure. I don't think that was it, Lindsay. I don't think he. I don't think he opened up a new kombucha bar in Fondren, and that's where he was generating his cash from. So it's pretty obvious that he was a dope dealer, everybody. I think we all know that. We're all not children. If you're listening to this program, I'm sure it's adults. Even the 12-year-olds probably can see that from the picture that I put up on Facebook. He was a dope dealer, and he did what dope dealers tend to do: go out there, ride around with cash and dope and drugs. Mm-hmm. And that's just, and guns and lots of guns.
And it got him killed.
And he got killed because he obviously, when he encountered Officer Rhinewalt and Officer Fredrick, didn't want to be caught with a bunch of dope and a bunch of guns. And right. I don't really blame him for that. I wouldn't want to be caught with a bunch of dope or a bunch of guns.
Right.
That's not good. That's not a good thing. So he tried to escape the best he could. Unfortunately for him, it didn't work out the way that he may have thought it would. But and he was shot because he tried to run over 2 cops. And that's the whole story there.
Yeah. And of course, he had a passenger with him who basically gave a statement at the time of the incident that corroborated everything the Capitol Police officers had said as well. So to see years later these indictments come down from the Attorney General's office is just really strange. And we hashed all that out yesterday on our show. But, I think a lot of people were shocked to hear the details kind of behind these 2 incidences that the AG's office is prosecuting or attempting to prosecute.
Yeah, I think it is very shocking for, because I think what we think when we think of Republican politicians that they're going to be pro law enforcement. I think
Back
that's
the blue.
yeah, because I mean, I know y'all on y'all side, you love to say Democrats, you guys are Soros funded, you're going after all the cops, you're doing all
Defund
this
the
stuff,
police.
which part of that is true. I'm not saying it's a position of the Democratic Party that I've always been against, but you think of Republicans as not doing that. The only time, like I said yesterday, what I see the Republicans not do that was January 6th and these pardons for people that attacked police officers. I completely disagree with that. And that's the time I saw that Republicans weren't backing the blue. Now it seems like here we got another instance of that, when in a different context, of course, where officers are trying to defend themselves from being killed, which just is a natural thing to do, and it's part of their
It's
job.
their job. It's what they're taught to do, and it's what they're there to do. To get criminals off the streets. That is their job.
Right, and the attorney general has decided that it's her job to prosecute them for that. And to my cop buddies out there, like, I'm sure you're thinking about, are you next? And that's kind of a scary thought process.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make people reconsider and think before wanting to become a police officer. I don't think they make all that much money, and then if they have to, they're already risking their life every day they put that uniform on, and then if they have to be concerned about being prosecuted just for protecting themselves and making the capital city safer, then why would you want to go into that profession?
Yeah, exactly. I talked to several local mayors over the last year, had lunch with them and several prosecutors as well. Did you know that like the numbers of police officers in the metro area towns are down significantly?
I can believe that.
And this is a reason for that. I think that there's been this negative implication on the police since George Floyd. Let's just be honest, and they've unfortunately been the victims of that, and that
which is completely unfair.
Absolutely,
because as we know now, hindsight is 2020, and
Sure.
what happened there was not at all what the media portrayed it to be.
Correct. The media blew it up into something that it wasn't, which is barely, you could see, look, here's an example of that NBC News article, Mississippi officers charged in young father's shooting death. This is what the media does. They distort things to a narrative that they want.
On both sides of the media.
I was talking to a member of the media yesterday a good person that really was like, we'd like to get this right now.
Yeah, they had reported a little on the Capitol Police indictments, but they were kind of surprised after they heard what we said yesterday.
Yeah.
After we laid all the facts out from these two incidences, and they reached out and said, wait, do we have this all wrong?
Yeah, they went. I'm not going to say who it was or what organization they're with, but they wanted to get they were good people, though. I know them, and they're really good people, and they want to get the story right because they're being fed certain things. I'm sure partially from the attorney general's office. This is what this is what this is. But they're like, well, they heard what we said, and they're like, this doesn't add up.
No.
What is the real story? And so at least there is good journalists out there that are trying to get the stories right. That's my point. But there's bad ones, like whoever wrote this ridiculous article with this headline, and the way, if you read the whole article, it's completely biased in the direction of that the cops must be guilty without, they don't put into this story that Jaylen Lewis was arrested a year and a half earlier,
right,
with a ton of dope and guns and all that stuff and $265,000 in cash. And it would have been easy for them, Lindsey, to do that because it's not like the information wasn't readily available. And I'll tell you where it was readily available. On Jackson Jambalaya, our own Kingfisher buddy, he had reported that back when this happened.
As did the sheriff's office, right?
The sheriff's office. It was on Facebook. It was on Jackson Jambalaya. So you're telling me,
but nobody has remembered that about this person who was killed. Nobody has brought that back to light. That hey, he was a big criminal. And I mean, since this January 24th indictment, the first indictment that was handed down on Capitol Police members from the AG's office, there have been around 10 or more, maybe a little more, Capitol Police officers who have left that organ, or I don't know, that precinct or that area of policing.
Well, I'll direct everybody's attention. Jackson Jambalaya on September 29th, 2022. The Mississippi Department of Public Safety issued a statement about the incident and what had happened. But there also was a post here that Kingfish has, the one that I'm reading from, with a picture of Jaylen Lewis and all the dope and all the cash in his March of 2021 arrest. And that the Hinds County grand jury indicted him for that, for having between 1 and 5 kilos of marijuana, as well as, of course, he had all this money and guns.
Which I'm guessing a kilo is a lot, because it looks like a whole lot laid out on that table.
That's a ton. So my point is, the information was out there for the media to get. NBC News, who wrote this article could have easily found that. But you know what they decided to do? Nope, we want a narrative. We have a narrative that we're going to push, that all police officers are bad and they must be killing people at random. And that's what happened here. Why don't you let the public make their own decision? Say, okay, look, the police shot this guy. We don't know what happened, but he happened to be a drug dealer. And they don't want to write that because they got to, they got to have
because
clicks.
the clickbait, it sounds so much better to say, he's a young father who's taken away from his child now and killed by police officers. And then I don't know if that article went into the race issue, but I mean, that's even makes it even a better story for some of these media outlets to say black man, young black father killed by white police officers.
Yeah, that's what they're saying in the article. That's what they want. They want that story out there. They don't want to talk about, his AK-47 in the car. They don't want to talk about all the cash. They don't want to talk about that stuff because then it gives it some rationale to it why the police would have been in the situation in the first place. They want to say young dude with young kids gets shot down by racist cops. That's it. That's what they want. And this is just a shame that we live in this kind of society where, and it's not all about racism, what the media does. They do this in so many other contexts where they shape this narrative they want. And you're supposed to go out there and dig for it, which, by the way, isn't supposed to be my job to do that. I'm not, if I'm just reading the news, the news people are supposed to do that.
You could listen to the news or read a newspaper and you felt like you were getting actual factual information. And that just doesn't seem to be the case these days. It's all about, who can get the most likes or shares or clicks and what's the best headline to make someone want to read this, and a lot of times they don't tell the whole story.
And then people's lives get destroyed.
Right. Absolutely.
And they don't care. But that was all. I was lucky to get that phone call yesterday from somebody who is a member of the media that did say that they wanted to get it right because that's a good person that actually cares about getting the news correctly.
Yeah.
There's very few of those people out there that really care. They care about the narrative that sounds good. And, I said yesterday that I had been a victim of this personally, about 9 years ago. And it's horrible to go through it when the media decides that they're going to attack you and say the wrong information. And by the way, when it comes out that they are wrong, you know what they don't do? They don't apologize. They never apologize.
Or maybe there will be like a very small print added to it after the fact when nobody's going to go back and read that, that they are changing something in the story. But yeah, it never makes the big headlines that, hey, we got this wrong.
No, they never do that. And that's one thing, I respected about Donald Trump beginning. One thing he said, I believe that's absolutely correct, is that when he kept saying fake news. Now, it's not always fake news, but he's not wrong. Like there is a lot of that going on, and it's only gotten worse. Like they want to shape whatever narrative they want because if they decide they don't like you, that's what they're going to do. They're going to say, we're going to shape it this way. And so their target is police officers because for some reason, which never makes any sense to me, they don't like police officers. And I don't know why. I love police officers because guess what? Like some bad stuff happens to me. I want to call somebody.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I'm sure they like police officers just fine when they're have someone holding a gun at them or if their car's carjacked or if someone's breaking in their home. I mean, I guarantee you they're going to call 911 and wait for the cops to get there.
It's almost like they want this world with no police and everybody can just run around and do whatever the heck they want. And I'm like, part of me, like in a sick way, kind of wants to give it to them. Like, okay, cool, no cops. Let's see what happens to you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's kind of like what the narrative they're pushing. Like they want to be protected, but they want to crap all over the police, make them all seem like bad guys, and then they still want people to do that job. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like why would anybody do it? I would never be a cop, and I was. I mean, my law enforcement experience is limited. I was a military policeman in the Marine Corps, but if you told me like to pick that as my MOS today, I'd have been like, because this was back in 1997 when I joined, I would be like, no, being a police, are you kidding me? Shaun. Yeah, I'm very old. 1997, that's when it was, almost 30 years ago. God bless. I would be like, heck no, I don't want to be a police officer. Why would I want to do that? It's crazy. I'm gonna get crapped on by the media. The attorney general is going to possibly indict me for defending myself, and I'm not going to really make that much money. Nope,
be suspended without pay.
I'm going to go take another job. Selling shoes. I don't know, something. I mean, like I'm not where nobody's going to care. Nobody wants to indict the shoe salesman. Like that guy is good. Like he's cool. He can just chill and go take his coffee break and sell some shoes. I'm not going to be a cop. Like that's ridiculous. And that's what you've done to these guys. You've made people. You made young kids look at this, and their kids are coming up reading this stuff and these narratives about the police, and they're like, man, I'm not going into that. Like, why would you do that? That's really stupid.
And it's also made people fear them.
We've seen that same effect with the military. Like when I was younger, growing up as a kid in the 1980s in grade school, like we had all this, we had Rambo and GI Joe, and it was really, you want to be patriotic and you want to join the military. Now I've talked to recruiters where kids in this generation don't want to join. They just
They've
want to recruit them down.
even made the physical exams less strenuous, or less, they're not as hard to pass as they used to be,
Yep.
because they need more people coming in.
They don't have enough.
Right.
And that's what is happening now with police officers. So
Yeah.
media, you're going to get what you want. No cops. And, hopefully you
And
can
then you're going to regret
barricade
it.
your home. Good luck to you. So,
All right. Well, we're about to take our first commercial break. Y'all stay with us. We've got lots more to talk about. So come back right here, WIB 103.9, Crossing the Aisle. Welcome back into Crossing the Aisle with Shaun and Lindsey, where politics meets passion. Shaun hates it when I say that, but he knows I love to throw that in there.
It's your tagline.
It's my tagline. Shaun, you missed CrossFit this morning. Shame on you.
Yeah, I treated. I usually go every morning at 6, but I will be going at 4:30. Considering I treated last night like a weekend night since it's Good Friday. Everyone needs a break from now and then. But yeah, everybody get out to CrossFit Fondren who's sponsoring the show. We're actually going to be in Vicksburg tomorrow, hiking, rucking which is a military pack, and you with weights in it, rucking the Vicksburg Military Park. So
not we.
I mean, Lindsey won't go. Lindsey's like, I'm not going to ruck the military park, Shaun. So
I would rather
I'm going.
shove splinters under my fingernails than put on a rucking pack, drive to Vicksburg, and walk through the military park. No, thank you. Especially at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning.
I'm leaving at 8 o'clock. It starts at 9. We'll be beaten by the USS Cairo. If anybody wants to join us, it's open to the public. It's a lot of fun. We're gonna if you got a pack, put some weights in it. You just walk it.
It's gonna be hot. You're gonna be sweaty and ugh.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Lindsey won't be there, obviously. Lindsey won't be there. Another member of WIB, Kim Wade, will probably not be there because, as I like to say, his opinions are stronger than his lifts, and we won't.
I wonder if he's heard you say that.
I don't know. I should probably tell him that though. But we'll be out there though. So everybody come join us. Get to know people in the gym. It's really a great place. And again, if you just want to come to heckle Kim, it's worth it just for that.
Or y'all go heckle Shaun. Like, what are you doing out here on a Saturday morning on the day before Easter? I feel like it should be.
We're honoring the Lord by rucking. That's what we're doing.
Oh, really?
I'm gonna pray. I promise. Well, I probably will pray. Like, please, Don, I don't want to die. Like, it's a pretty. You ever been through that park? It's like,
isn't it haunted?
It's haunted. We should tell that story.
Yeah, let's tell that story.
That is a good story. So Speaking of haunted, yes, the military park they say is haunted, but there's something that is more haunted that Lindsey's going to experience in a couple weeks.
If y'all heard us talking earlier in the week, I'm totally against cloning animals and I'm totally against Ouija boards. And I just think, like, why even open yourself up to anything evil and demonic? And I believe that there are spirits, and I don't want to anger any of them or be possessed by anything.
What are you possessed by then? Is it
the Holy Spirit?
Oh, okay, that's it. All right.
Yes. So we are talking last night. We're planning to go to Boston in a few weeks, and we were talking last night, and Shaun had sent me the hotel where we're supposed to be staying.
Yeah,
and
I booked it. Like,
he booked it. Yeah, and it's actually the hotel where they made the first Boston cream pie. They made it famous, and so I was really excited about that because it looks really good, and they like deliver it to your door in the hotel room. But then I find out that he knew the whole entire time this is one of the most haunted hotels in the country, and he was not going to tell me that until we got there. Yeah. Then just throw that on me, knowing how I feel about all this.
I didn't think you'd look it up. That's what.
See, he didn't think I'd do any research, but see, I do. I research everything.
Didn't think you'd look it up. It is one of the most haunted hotels in America. But Charles Dickens lived there for 5 months.
He did, and also JFK proposed to Jackie there.
Yep.
So I was kind of like, wait a minute, I might actually.
She hasn't decided whether I need to rebook another room somewhere else or yeah.
Well, we're not staying in room 303 because I hear that one's the most haunted.
And so, y'all, I don't believe in any of this stuff. So that's where it kind of gets funny about relationships. So it just makes me laugh that people believe in this kind of stuff. And Lindsey's the opposite, where she believes in all of it.
When we get there, I'm going to make you stand in front of that mirror on the 10th floor and say Charles Dickens 3 times, because I've heard he comes out of that mirror if you say that 3 times in front of it.
I thought that was Bloody Mary. Wasn't that when you were a kid?
This is the hotel. And
I can say Charles Dickens 3 times and he'll come out and talk to me?
That's what they say.
Ooh, that's kind of cool. I'll do that. That's going to happen. Can I bring the Ouija board that I bought that I didn't tell you about?
No, I'm not touching a Ouija board. It is not going to be in any vicinity of me.
In the
I'm
hotel.
putting my foot down.
It is the longest continuously used hotel in America, too. So it's like the oldest hotel in America, pretty much, because it's been used since 1855 continuously as a hotel. And the
owner, he walks the 10th floor at night too, I hear.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I looked it all up after I found out.
I told Lindsey there's probably some transgender ghosts that will attack her while she's sleeping. So,
well, you know what? They better stay out of the UK.
That's probably true. Anyway, getting back to normal stuff that's not haunted, other than maybe the AG's office's indictments. When we were talking about the indictments of Michael Rhinewalt and Stephen Fredrick, and obviously the history of Jaylen Lewis, who's an obvious drug dealer who got shot by the police. Not that much of a shocker, and he was in a previous arrest for for having a lot of dope, $265,000 worth
I
of
wonder, we
cash.
should look up his background and see if that's the only arrest. I'm sure there were more, because if he had that kind of money and that kind of drugs and those kind of weapons on him, I'm sure he had more than one run-in with the law.
Well, he's a young father. He needed the money to pay for the kids.
Yeah,
The
diapers.
$265,000. Those kids had some nice like
I
bikes.
mean, daycare is expensive.
It is in this country, I mean, Jaylen was just trying to make it for the children. Like as a young
Yeah.
father, he was trying to. The reason what we're referencing here is NBC's News is titled that Mississippi officers shoot or something young father. I forget what it is now, but I'll have to pull up here. It is Mississippi officers charged in young father's shooting death. And my title would have been Mississippi officers charged in dude with $265,000 worth of cash and dope's death.
We should give them an award.
Who also had AK-47 in the car. I mean, I
Yeah.
wonder if we could do a poll on how many people have an AK-47 in their vehicle at any given time.
I mean, I don't even know what that is. Like, I don't know the difference between all these types of guns.
Well,
But
you'd know it if you saw it.
it's a big one.
It's a big one with a big clip, and you see it a lot in the movies when like the Rambo movies and stuff like that.
You know, I didn't watch
I know
those.
you didn't watch that.
Come
stuff.
on.
I mean, whatever it is. It's on. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, though. So yeah, he had all that kind of stuff, and the news has made him out to be a great citizen, and he's a young father just trying to make it on $265,000 in one pop. It must be tough for him.
What the article should have read was, police defend themselves and are being wrongfully indicted by the AG's office, and now their family is having to go through. I mean, their families are having to go through all this too. Some of their family members are getting death threats, and this whole justice for Jaylen movement. I mean, I saw WAPT had his dad on this morning talking to his dad.
Really?
Yes, about how, just how he just hates that this happened, and he hopes this never happens to anyone else. And I'm just thinking, dude, you knew your son was in the wrong. There's no way.
I hope this never happens to anyone else. Well, yeah, if you're not a dope dealer with a machine gun, it probably is not going to happen to you.
That you point at the cops.
Yeah, that you point at the cops
after you ram into one of their vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, I hope this never happens to anyone. You could say that when it comes to something like somebody gets some form of cancer. Like, man, my father or my mother got cancer, my kid. I pray this doesn't happen to anyone, because it's a random thing. But if you say like, well, I hope no one gets gunned down by the cops, because if they're carrying a machine gun and a bunch of dope and they try to run over the cops, well, I hope everybody out there doesn't do that. Like, you have a choice. You don't have to have a machine gun. You don't have to have a bunch of dope. You don't have to have 265,000 cash that you earned illegitimately. You don't have to have all these things. Like, you don't have to do that. You don't have a choice to get cancer. Cancer just happens. But you have a choice not to have a machine gun and a bunch of dope and try to run over the cops. You can pick. So yeah, I hope nobody does that. That's what I hope. I hope nobody does that. But it's making it out to seem like he's some victim. Like, give me a break.
That too. Yeah, and I was talking about what we were going to talk about today, and posted on my stories on the way here. And I didn't even want to say murdered, because I don't feel like what they did was not murder.
Deservedly shot is the word I would
he
use.
was killed, but it was because of his own actions.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And I hate, people might say something about this, what I'm about to say. I don't feel bad for him. I feel bad for his family. I mean, I do, but I don't feel bad for him, because he shouldn't have been doing. If I'm riding around with a machine gun and a bunch of dope and I try to run over the cops,
what do you expect?
I hope
is
you tell my
happen?
parents, like, hey, Shaun was an idiot and he decided to do that. I'm sorry for y'all's loss, but he shouldn't have been doing that. Like, that was
exactly.
That
I
was
mean, I feel like the streets are a little tiny bit safer without this guy.
Yeah, I don't need the dudes running around with dope and a machine gun right in front of my house. Basically. Like, I don't need that. Like, was that on State Street or somewhere where that happened?
And I can't believe there are all these criminals in Jackson anyway, because of the great leadership from the conservative mayor.
That is the next story that we're going to get to, because actually, Lindsey, I can understand it, because, as you guys like to say, conservatism fosters business, props business up more and more. And well, this is a form of business, drug dealing, and the mayor's conservative policies have allowed for business development in the city of Jackson.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we got to take a commercial break. When we get back, we're going to talk about hashtag lying liberal Lumumba.
Yeah.
So y'all stay with us. We'll be right back here at WYAB 103.9. Welcome back into Crossing the Aisle with Shaun and Lindsey. And this segment will be brought to you by one of our great sponsors, Pure Air Consultants. Shaun, have you called about getting your air system checked out before it gets really too hot to do it? Because something goes wrong with his every year.
I have not done that yet.
Do I need to add that to your calendar?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, if you ever wonder why your AC has stopped working, the common reasons for this issue include issues like a flip switch, a dirty condenser, an improperly sized unit, an old unit, or a malfunctioning thermostat. For over 40 years, Pure Air Consultants has been delivering exceptional cooling systems to Central Mississippi, and they want to offer you a rare gift, a free labor warranty for 5 years. Shaun, writing this down?
Yeah.
New construction, build, thermostat installation, and more. Financing is available. They also specialize in air duct cleaning, air duct sealing, and dry vent cleaning to make sure the air you breathe is as clean and fresh as possible. Which, Shaun, you have a much older house, so you could probably use
I
some
know
of
what you're
that
telling
too.
me. I need to use this service. I get it. I know it. I'm going to do it. I promise. Once I get done with all the million other things I got to do.
Yeah,
Why
I
don't
know.
you just call them for me?
Maybe I should.
You,
Maybe
you,
I
you
should.
keep my calendar. You do everything else. Just do that. Like, because
Maybe
obviously
I
I
need to
can't
do
do
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know how I get when I'm hot.
Yeah.
And I'm not fun to be around.
Yep. That's
Which is why you won't catch me rucking at the military park.
No, you won't be there tomorrow. Rocking with us at CrossFit Fondren at the
No.
military park at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and so it's going to be.
You can invite lying liberal Lumumba. I bet he would come out there with you.
No, I mean I don't think so. I mean, well, he might get on a boat on the river, and we'll never see him again because
A
he's had to
yacht?
get out of here quickly. I saw that there was scientists have actually discovered life on other planets or another planet yesterday.
Is that where you came from?
Not me. Oh, probably. Yeah. I mean, I've just meant Chokwe's looking into that. Like,
Maybe I can get there.
Yeah, maybe I could get there right now. Anyway, what Lindsay's talking about. So Chokwe Lumumba is the newest member of the Republican Party, according to him.
He's
not the Republican.
conservative.
He's a conservative at heart, is the words that he used. And I was telling Lindsay before the break that his conservative policies have fostered business development in the city, as you can see,
crime and murder
by Jaylen Lewis and the enterprise that he had going. I mean, think about how conservative and good his policies are. Where can you make $265,000 that quickly?
I don't know, maybe I need to take him up on
that is a heck of a business that you're running. So I say, applaud you, Mayor Lumumba, for fostering the business development in the city. A young man there made $265,000 in a day. I mean, that's unheard of, Lindsay. I mean, our friend Gerard wouldn't even know what kind of Facebook post to write about something like that.
I'm sure he could figure one out.
I mean, like, how did somebody make $265,000 that quickly? It's amazing.
Y'all let us know what you think. The line to call and talk with us on air is 601-879-0002. Do you think Mayor Lumumba is conservative, or do you think he is a lying liberal Lumumba, such as Rance Bilbo over at the GOP put out a statement from the Republican Party yesterday afternoon? And what was the comparison they made, Shaun? It was really good.
They said that he's about as it's something about he's about as much a conservative as an FBI agent is an undercover real estate developer. That's what they said, So I mean, yeah, but I think we should implement Mayor Lumumba's conservative policies nationwide because it fosters business development where young people can make $265,000 very quickly. That's an unheard of program, Lindsay, that he's put in. I mean,
no, I don't think anyone should foster his policies. I mean,
anyway, I think he's doing this because he is about to put on a MAGA hat and beg the president for a pardon after he loses on Tuesday night.
Russ Latino said Chokwe Lumumba is to conservatism as what I am to an Olympic gymnast.
Yeah, I mean, see, there you go. Russ is getting into gymnastics. That'll be something to see. I think that's what that's maybe he's setting that up like Eric Adams got, released from Donald Trump. I think he's about to. You're going to see Chokwe. If we see Chokwe at Mar-a-Lago, do not be surprised that this happens. Like he goes down there and talks about how the evil Democrats tried to prosecute him because it was a Biden DOJ investigation, and he's like just like you, President Trump, I was targeted by the Biden DOJ. Feel me, my brother.
But let's not forget.
That's what he's. Let's
not forget that he was out there campaigning for Kamala, saying that she was the only option. You must vote for Kamala. I guess he thought being a Democrat, he would have a better chance of getting a pardon from, but it was actually their DOJ that.
But that's easy with Trump, Lindsay.
He pardons everybody.
No, people can keep that they hated him and easily change positions and say they love him and he's cool. Like JD Vance. JD Vance talked tons of crap about him. He said he's a horrible guy, basically Hitler. What did he say? Something like that.
And he said he was a never Trump guy, never.
He's a
They
never
made this
Trump
song
guy.
about it.
I
And
mean, he was all anti-Trump, and then when he's the vice president now, so like it's not unheard of that Lumumba can now become pro-Trump, go to Mar-a-Lago, kiss his feet,
wear the
and
hat.
and maybe get a pardon. I mean, that's his best bet right now. That, or I mean, he's got a few options here. It's go to Mar-a-Lago with the hat on and get on his knees, beg. I mean, or whatever else he's got to do, and to do that.
No pun intended.
Then, or he can leave the country. I think that's an option that he might want to exercise. Like those are, or he can go to trial and get convicted, go to jail for the rest of his life. Whatever he wants to do.
Or the people of Jackson could be really stupid and go vote for him Tuesday, and then he would be mayor all over again.
Yeah, but I mean, out of those three options, I'm going to pick go to Mar-a-Lago and beg. Why not? I mean, why not do that?
I don't know that he could get in Mar-a-Lago.
I mean, I think Trump's going to let him in. He's going to laugh because he's like, this is the greatest thing ever. He's like, dude, we got the radical mayor coming to Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, he'll definitely do it.
Radical? I mean, you mean conservative?
I think he's conservative. Well, now he's conservative now because his luck's run out. So to speak.
Did you watch that little press conference he held this morning?
I saw a little bit of it when David Archie was talking about like white people don't need to vote or whatever it was. Like
they had Pastor
no
Pickett.
white people vote.
They had Pastor Pickett up there and David Archie and all of these people talking about the wonderful things he's done for Jackson, and I just wanted them to list those things, but they never did. And how he has 3 of the candidates who have now endorsed him, and none of those candidates have endorsed John Horn,
right.
And how John Horn is playing to the Republicans. They're just going to hand Jackson over to the Republicans, to the state. Oh, it's laughable at this point.
And it's funny because Chokwe moved to the most Republican area of the state, Northeast Jackson. That's where he lives, in a little gated mansion. He at his voting box, he received 9 votes, which is part of Ward 7, which is my ward. So I want to know, who are those 9 people? If Chokwe didn't vote, let's assume, like, who are the 9 people that live in my neighborhood that voted for him? Because I believe that precinct, Fire Station 16, is my neighborhood. Like, I want to know who you are.
Well,
like,
the one right across.
Why would you have done this?
The one right across from his house, he didn't get a single vote.
No, Casey Elementary, he didn't get a single vote. No, but apparently he doesn't vote there. He votes at Fire 16. And
do we even really know where he lives? I mean,
no, we know where he lives. He lives in the gated mansion around all the white people that he says he hates. I mean, and he says if Northeast Jackson shouldn't be able to vote where he lives, by the way, if he hates all these people so much, why does he live next door to them? Like, that's just
right, because it's the safer area.
Yeah, I mean, it's just emblematic of being a sellout, I think, is what it is. Like, you're playing this Black Power radical thing, and then you live in the whitest neighborhood in the city. I mean, you're just like, and the people, you know what? And the people of Jackson actually finally saw through him, as we saw with the election results a few weeks ago. And I think, I'm hoping, and I'm not going to call this, but this is just my dream, and people have kind of said this could happen Tuesday night, that like it's such a wipeout that like it's something like 65% against him. I don't
know, because I know he's been out there hitting the streets hard, and I think a lot of people saw John Horn have such a lead that I think they might not get back out and vote Tuesday. I hope that's not true.
Yeah, me too.
But I do think we're going to see more votes for Chokwe than we did initially. It was so crazy. One of the signs they were holding up today was "Keep our city, our city." Well, what do you mean, our city?
Yeah, I think the implication is like, we don't want to give the city to the white Republicans, because if you vote for John Horn, that's what you're doing. Which is funny, because if you take out Ward 1, and anybody can look at Mississippi Today, had an article about this earlier in the week. If you take out Ward 1, which is Northeast Jackson, that would reduce John Horn's vote total to 44% from 48%, and Chokwe Lumumba would increase by 2%. So then he would have got to like 19%. He still would have got his butt kicked.
Yeah.
And like, even if all the white people were not allowed to vote, like, he still was going to lose. So that this narrative, they're trying to build this narrative that like, oh, all the white people did this. But you take all the white people, the 6 white people that live in the city of Jackson, to like tell them to move, and he was still going to get killed.
We saw a really funny video on Facebook last night that someone made, and it was Chokwe coming up to their door, I guess, as if he was out campaigning, door knocking, and she can see him on her Ring door camera, and he's like, "Oh, heck no, I'm not opening the door for you." I mean, and I think that's like the way a lot of Jacksonians feel at this point,
Yeah, I think exactly. And that's where I think the Lumumbas, the David Archies, the Other Canes, that group they think that Black people are not, don't see what's going on, which is like they're kind of demeaning them.
Yeah, they're
I
kind of
think.
calling him stupid.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they're doing, and I think black people were like, we see exactly what's going on.
We've seen our
You're
sons be killed in the streets. We've
Yep.
seen them become dope dealers. We've,
Yeah, we see them become Jaylen Lewises. They're
right.
out there running around with freaking machine guns and dope. We've seen that happen. We've seen the infrastructure crumble. We've seen the schools fail. We've seen all the water system fail because of your incompetence. Like you are nothing to them. They're just like, look, we're not stupid, and they're not. They're
Yeah,
not
no, they're
stupid.
not.
They're like, this is ridiculous. And the only thing they're saying, well, it's white people are trying to steal the city. That's the same argument that white segregationists use in the 1950s and 60s, and it was stupid then, and it worked for a little while, and then eventually it didn't work anymore. And they're looked upon as histories, as pariahs of history, just like Chokwe and that group's going to be looked on to, I think.
Yeah, you know what I wish? I wish that Big Mama over at Big Mama
Yeah.
Bail Bonding would watch the press conference from today and do a live about it, because she hits the nail on the head.
She
She's
does.
hilarious.
She's great. Yeah.
All right, well, it's time for our last commercial break, but y'all stay with us. We'll be right back to wrap up the week here on Crossing the Aisle, WIAB 103.9. And we are back here crossing the aisle with Shaun and Lindsey. So, Shaun, what have you got planned this weekend other than this fascinating ruck through the military
That will
park at the
take
crack of
hours and
dawn
hours
on
tomorrow.
Saturday?
That's it. I've got some work to do Sunday, as you know, and that'll be it for this lovely Easter weekend. I know hope everybody has better plans than I do.
I thought you were going to be out door knocking, campaigning for Chokwe.
No, that will not happen. But what we do know is I hope everybody does enjoy their Easter weekend. But remember, we do have the most critical election probably in the history of the city of Jackson, at least our lifetimes, on Tuesday. So I hope everybody gets back in town if you're out of town Monday and get there to vote on Tuesday, because it's important. Like Lindsey said earlier, you need it looks like there's blood in the water. We've got them, and it's time to strike on Tuesday. And
if you are going to be out of town, there is absentee voting that's taking place today and tomorrow up until lunchtime.
Yeah.
So if you live in that area, get out, cast your vote. Let's stop this reign of terror that has taken the city of Jackson over in the past. How many years has he been
8
in
years
the
now?
past 8
8
years?
years of absolute hell. And I think if we don't do this, we're like Chokwe's saying they're going to take away our city. Like, the city's going to be lost for everyone, black, white, doesn't matter your color, creed, sex, whatever. Like, we're all going to lose it if this man takes power again, because what's going to happen is he's going to go to trial in a little over a year in July of 26. And when he's convicted, we're going to look like the biggest national joke that you can look like. And it's going to give him another year to rape and pillage the city of its resources and hurt more people are going to die.
The trial's not until July, so.
And so you got to get out there, and it's that important. Vote like your kids' lives depend on it,
because they do.
So
they absolutely do.
He can't stay. He's got to go. January 6th it if you've got to. Whatever you got to do.
Oh my.
Just do call it April the 24th, 23rd, 22nd, April 22nd, April the 22nd, A22. That's what we'll call A22. Whatever you got to do, I don't care.
He doesn't really mean
I'm kidding, of course, sort of. But anyway, everybody needs to get out and vote, man. So just to be thinking about that this weekend when everybody's enjoying the family time, how important Tuesday is for your neighbor, for you, your kids.
And I think that some of these independent candidates are going to give whoever even wins the runoff a run for their money in the general election. So,
well, like I was telling you and Pete last night, I hope that works out. But all I care about is Tuesday. We got to get rid of this.
All right, we'll be back here Monday.
Yep. Bye.